When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, like Skims or Allbirds, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and great marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making selling and for shoppers buying simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. It's home of Shop Pay, the #1 checkout in the world. You can use it to boost conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts going abandoned and way more sales going through to checkout. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout Allbirds uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/income, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/income to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/income.
Hello, everybody. Here at One Hit Thunder, we're committed to creating the best experience for our listeners. To help us learn more about you and what you want to hear, please head to surveymonkey.com/r/FPZY5JQ to take a short survey. Your feedback helps us improve the show and supports the sponsors who make this show possible. As a thank you, you'll be entered into our monthly drawing to win one of two $50 gift cards. If you want a chance to win one, go ahead and grab a pen and jot down this address: surveymonkey.com/r/FPZY5JQ. And thanks for helping us grow the show.
USAA knows dynamic duos can save the day, like superheroes and sidekicks or auto and home insurance. With USAA, you can bundle your auto and home and save up to 10%. Tap the banner to learn more and get a quote at USAA.com/bundle. Restrictions apply.
Have you ever been so inspired by a comic strip that you can't help but write a song about it? Well, if you were a funnies enthusiast in 1960, you could end up topping the charts. Yes, that's right. Alley-Oop by the Hollywood Argyles, who were barely even a real band, hit #1 on the Hot 100. How did this happen? And why did this happen? Secure your loincloths, because we're going to try to make sense of this strange moment in music history on this week's episode.
He got a chauffeur that's a genuine dinosaur. And he can knuckle your head before you count too far.
One hit is all you need to make the money guaranteed. And you can live off royalties forever. And it makes me wonder, is it just a wonder, or is it one hit thunder?
All right, Matt, you gave me a choice of 3 really stupid songs to talk about today. And
well, it's April Fool's Day. It felt like we needed to do a really dumb novelty song today.
Yeah, and I chose one that I had never even heard before, Alley-Oop by the Hollywood Argyles. After some quick research, I saw that this song was based on the Alley-Oop comic strip. And I was like, okay. I remember being at work in my 20s and reading the local paper and reading the Alley-Oop comic strips. And there were certain comic strips in the funny pages that I was just like, who reads this? What is this? It was some sort of narrative story that you get 3 panels a day and something. I guess maybe Alley-Oop had a little bit of comedy to it. Do you know that comic strip?
I was looking at the pit because I was a huge, every day I would grab my parents' paper to look at the comic strips because I wanted to get my Garfield. I wanted to get my Bizarro, Far Side when it was still in there.
Yep.
You know, there was certain comics that were go-to. I feel like I don't think I read Alley-Oop. I think I read a different caveman.
Yeah.
There was a different comic strip about cavemen in the 90s.
It was called something. I forget exactly what it's called.
It's
something.
Haggard the Horrible or something like that.
No, Haggard the Horrible is something different. No,
okay.
but I will say that the style of that Haggard the Horrible is kind of, drawing wise is kind of, it's called It might just be called BC or
I think it's BC. BC was the comic that I'm thinking of. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. But no, alley-oop is something different. And if I remember correctly, reading in the funnies, I was always like, there wasn't anything funny about it. It was like telling some sort of story. I don't remember it exactly, but I used to read it in the Valley Independent. And I was shocked to learn that in 1960, a song based on the character from the comic strip went to number 1. Once again, proving my point that people in the 60s were just freaking stupid.
Well, that's the crazy thing, too, is like I sent you 3 songs. And all 3 of those songs were top 5 hits in America. It was this one, and I'll say the other 2 was Alan Sherman's Hello Mata, Hello Fada, and the other one was the new vaudeville act, I think, or the new vaudeville band Winchester Cathedral, which was like a guy singing into like a 1930s megaphone. About going to the Winchester Cathedral. Like they were all of them were really weird. My dad had sent me a video one day, and it was like, do you remember these 60s novelty hits? And so that's what I used to send you options. I'm like, all right, here's 3 that we've never done.
Well, I'm glad that we chose this one, to be honest, because I went down a rabbit hole in preparation for this episode that I don't know if you went down about Gary Paxton by any chance, but it is wild.
You sent me a few things. I mean, this is one of the more interesting ones that we've had to talk about because I don't think it's the first time, but this is another case similar to the Archies of a fake band. Like, this is not a real band, which always makes it dramatically difficult to discuss. And when I listen to the Hollywood Argyles greatest hits, it was like 95% cover songs and alley-oop. Like,
well, let's start there. There is no reason you need to listen to, like, there is some sort of collection of songs of the Hollywood Argyles. There is no reason you need to listen to that. The closest thing that I found, I'm like, oh, they did a cover of Yakety Yak, and it is like a terrible cover of Yakety Yak.
It's really bad.
There is no reason to go deeper on the Hollywood Argyles, but there is a reason to go deeper on the story behind the Hollywood Argyles. Now, I'll tell you that this song, Alley Oop, was released in May of 1960, and it went to number 1, and it was written by Dallas Frazier, who is also known for his song Elvira in 1966. Do you know Elvira, Matt?
I don't. I checked this song out because I was like, is this about the late night mistress of the dark? No, it is not. But
well, isn't it though? Isn't it like maybe where Elvira got her
I
shtick?
think I think she got the name from the song, not the other way around, because it was released in 81, which Elvira, I believe, was like 85 when she first started doing that character.
There is a famous version of Elvira by the Oak Ridge Boys. That's who made the song famous. And yes, it was later than I think it was originally released. You're talking about the 1981. That has to be the Oak Ridge Boys version.
Yeah, that's the Oak Ridge Boys. That's like when it became a hit, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
But more than Dallas Frazier, I want to talk about the guy who produced and sang Alley Oop, which is Gary Paxton. Now, did you see what else Gary Paxton produced?
I was like, I did. Let me see if I have this. Where is it in my notes?
I can tell you.
Maybe I did. Actually, no, I don't think I got the Paxton stuff. I got someone else. What did Gary Paxton also produce?
Gary S. Paxton, as he goes by. I forgot the S. Also produced the Monster Mash.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? He also did. So the notes in here are all over the place. So some people actually tried to claim that he wasn't the singer on this track. They tried to claim that it was someone named Norman Davis. But they actually were comparing his vocals to other songs that Gary Paxton had sung at that same time, and it's undeniable. But one of the songs they mentioned, same vein as Monster Mash, is that he had a song called Spooky Movies, which was just used in the Welcome to Derry It show that came out like a couple months ago.
Nice. Yes, Gary S. Paxton is a real, I don't know, he's a novelty music king. I will say that. And I want to tell you, Gary S. Paxton's backstory because I thought it's pretty interesting. First of all, of course, I go to Wikipedia. Love Wikipedia. We support Wikipedia here at One Hit Thunder. I will stress, fuck AI, go to Wikipedia. Wikipedia rocks. Donate a few bucks to Wikipedia if you haven't. Matt, I've actually done that. I try to donate to Wikipedia every time one of those things pops up, because we use it so much.
Can I ask you a question? Because maybe I'll do the same. If you do donate a few bucks, does that annoying pop-up go away, or is it still there for like the month that they're campaigning?
I don't remember, actually.
Because you know what? $5 every couple months might be worth it just not to have that thing take up the top half of my screen.
Okay. Well, that's the end of our Wikipedia commercial. But Gary S. Paxton's Wikipedia page, go to it so you can, first of all, see how insane he looks. His photo on there is from the Country Gospel Music Awards in 2007. And the way I can describe him is he looks like an elderly Dave Mustaine. That's what I thought. But I want to tell you his backstory.
Oh, wow. Yeah, he does. Well, it's funny, though, because this is not what I was expecting. You had sent me a solo song from him, and the artwork for that song was like, he looked like a professional wrestler.
I don't even know if that's him.
I don't think it is if I'm looking at this actual photo on his Wikipedia. I don't know who that was on that album cover.
All right, you're skipping ahead a little bit, but
sorry.
Gary S. Paxton, born in Kansas to an unmarried teen mom, and he was originally named Larry Wayne Stevens. He was adopted at age 3 and raised in rural poverty on a farm. He was molested at age 7 and got spinal meningitis at age 11, which left him crippled for 3 years. Man, rough start for Gary S. Paxton. His family moved to Arizona when he was 12, and he started his first band when he was 14, and he played country and rock and roll. And he spent his teen years, like his middle teen years, touring the American Southwest with his band. This guy was already in a touring rock band as like from what I can tell, like a 15 or 16-year-old. And he had some early stardom as part of a pop duo called Skip and Flip. He was
Flip. Yeah.
This seriously feels like something from a Christopher Guest movie. This duo.
This is very Mighty Wind coded for sure.
Yeah. So they sold 1 million copies of their 1959 smash hit called It Was I. And according to Gary S. Paxton, he was picking cherries on an Oregon farm when he heard the song come on a transistor radio and realized that it had become a hit. So then at that point, they made TV appearances, and they had another hit called Cherry Pie, not to be confused with the Warrant Cherry Pie. And after their second hit, Skip and Flip broke up. And I listened to both these songs. I don't think I ever heard It Was I before. And I also don't think I've ever heard Cherry Pie, but like I said, totally feels like something out of a Christopher Guest mockumentary. It's pretty standard doo-wop music, what you would expect a duo called Skip and Flip to sound like. Then,
the Skip and Flip thing is part of why this is released under the Hollywood Argyles as well.
Okay.
According to Paxton, anyway, he said, as for the name, Kim Foley, who is the songwriter and producer, and I were living in a $15 a week room in Hollywood, and since I was still under contract to Brent Records as Flip, I couldn't put my name on Alley Oop. But since the studio was at the corner of Hollywood Boulevard and Argyle Street, we decided to name the band the Hollywood Argyles.
Okay, I didn't see that. That's cool. And I will say that this guy, all I can say is, as I learn more and more about this guy, I think this guy he's like the blueprint for being pretty punk rock. I gotta tell you, in 1960, Gary lived in Hollywood. He worked on lots of projects. He worked with acts such as The Association, Paul Revere and the Raiders, The Four Freshmen, Tommy Roe. And over the years, he built a reputation as an eccentric figure in the recording industry. And I thought this was a pretty cool thing that I read about him. Brian Wilson admired him, and Phil Spector feared him. And I'm like, okay. I saw an example of something he did. So that makes me love him and think he's pretty punk. One time, after a local radio station dismissed one of his records, Elephant Game Part 1 by Renfro and Jackson, they wouldn't play it because they said it was, in quotes, too black. So he assembled a protest parade down Hollywood Boulevard in LA, consisting of 15 cheerleaders and a live elephant pulling a Volkswagen convertible, and he was arrested after the elephant got scared and began to shit all over the place. Which, dude, that is so awesome. In 1965, he was Grammy nominated for his engineering work on Along Comes Mary, which was a hit for the Association. You know that song, right?
Yeah, and Along Comes Mary, Mary, Mary.
Yeah.
Made famous again by the Bloodhound Gang later on.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they covered it for the Half-Baked soundtrack.
Okay. In the late 60s, Gary S. Paxton turned to the Bakersfield sound in country music. And by 1967, he moved there and founded the label Bakersfield International. And then he moved to Nashville in 1970, and he converted to Christianity after his partner committed suicide, and he had his own long struggles with drugs and alcohol. And he turned to gospel music. But at first I was like, oh no. But then I saw that he became part of the hippie countercultural Jesus movement, and he recorded many of his songs under the Rusty Dean alias. And I sent you some of these songs, Matt. He called himself an armpit in the body of Christ. And he had songs like When the Meat Wagon Comes for You, Will There Be Hippies in Heaven, I'm a Fool for Christ, Whose Fool Are You, and Jesus is My Lawyer in Heaven. And
which that song is a bop.
Yes, it is good. I sent it to you, yeah.
And yeah, the Jesus movement, I think we talked about this very, very briefly when we did Spirit in the Sky for Norman Greenbaum. It was kind of in that same vein, right? Like it was this kind of hippie movement where by today's standards, we would actually call them red letter Christians. It's a movement where the only thing you care about in the Bible is the message of Jesus, which is like peace and love and like treating everybody with equality. So, you know, the not hateful version of converting to Christianity.
That version of Christianity I can get behind. That seems pretty cool, you know?
Looking ahead, though, it seems like some people couldn't get behind that version of Christianity.
Well,
I'm seeing that a hitman was hired to take him out at one point.
In December of 1980, he was shot 3 times by a hitman, allegedly hired by Vern Gosdin, a country singer that Gary was producing, putting him out of the music world for 8 years and nearly ending his life. After the trial, Gary visited the men who tried to kill him in prison and forgave them. Then, by 1999, Gary left Nashville and lived in Branson, Missouri with his 4th wife, Vicky Sue Roberts. He suffered from Hep C and almost died years earlier, 1990. And he made it very clear in this time, Matt. That's why I wanted to stress that his name is Gary S. Paxton, not Gary Paxton. And then in the 2000s, he became associated with a bunch of the members of Bill Haley and his Comets, who, as the Comets, recorded a single produced by Gary S. Paxton, who was credited as Grandpa Rock. And the single was entitled, When I Die, Just Bury Me at Walmart so my wife will come and visit me. And then the end of Gary's story, he died in 2016 at age 77 from complications of heart surgery and liver disease. But what a life, Gary S. Paxton, who we hear singing this alley-oop song. I do want to go back, Matt, because it's that weird thing that in 1960, when this song was a hit, there was also another version by a group called Dante and the Evergreens that went to number 15, and the Dinosaurs released a version that went to number 59. It's so weird how, like, there'll be a popular song, and then, like, all kind of different artists play it, and they all chart.
Well, yeah. And then also, I'm not sure if you saw some of the people who covered this song.
Yeah.
You got the Beach Boys did this, Shauna Na, Darlene Love, and Ray Stevens. And David Bowie references this song in one of his big hits, Life on Mars, has a reference to Alley Oop by the Hollywood Argyles.
Yeah. The Beach Boys version is on their 1965 album Beach Boys Party. I didn't really know that album, and I listened to it. It's a lot of covers on it. And
I mean, early Beach Boys is very cover heavy. I think that's why Beach Boys and Jan and Dean have a lot of the same songs in their catalog. And I think in the start, similar to how the Beatles did a lot of cover songs on their first couple albums, they were just both covering anything that was related to beaches and skateboards and going surfing.
But that album is kind of cool because it sounds like you're at a party with the Beach Boys and they're just playing at this party. And I think it's like a pretty cool way to put out an album that you're like partying with the Beach Boys and they're covering these songs at the party. I like it.
I like that a lot. You were talking about how punk rock you think Gary S. Paxton is, but there should be something to be said about Kim Foley. I think that's how that last name is pronounced, who's the producer and songwriter, because after this...
Wait a second. I thought the songwriter was the guy who wrote Elvira. I thought it was Dallas Frazier.
There's a couple different people whose names I've seen associated with this. But this Kim Foley person, who I guess co-wrote it with... let's see, here a second. According to Paxton, who at the time was half of Skip and Flip, Alley Oop was written by Dallas Frazier as a country tune. As for the name, Kim Foley and I were living... So Kim Foley somehow tied in here as a producer as well, I guess.
Okay.
Maybe not the songwriter. So Kim Foley, after this, produced the Mermaids hit Popsicles and Icicles, which I don't know this song, but it went to number 3. But then he also helped form the Runaways and the Orchards, 2 female punk rock bands in the 70s.
Nice.
So it does feel like both of these guys... at this time, even in the 60s, they were looking for that more garagey, grungy, weird out there sound. I love that the last song that Gary S. Paxton produced was When I Die, Bury Me at a Walmart so my wife will come and visit me, because it just shows that this dude had a sense of humor and an ear for a good novelty song from 1960 all the way until his death in the 2000s. Amazing.
Yeah. And those 70s songs, like the gospel, like the country songs, they don't sound like country songs. They're very produced and they're borderline comedy. This guy's the pinnacle of novelty music. Hey there, One Hit Thunder listeners. Are you ready to take your music to the next level? Well, get ready to rock, because this episode is brought to you by DistroKid, the ultimate digital music distribution service for artists like you. With DistroKid, you can easily upload your songs or albums to online stores and streaming platforms like Spotify, Apple Music, and YouTube Music, reaching fans all around the globe. But that's just the beginning. DistroKid offers a ton of awesome features like Hyperfollow, which helps you promote your releases and get pre-saves on your songs, all for free. But wait, there's more. The DistroKid app is now available on iOS and Android. With the app, you can manage your releases, track your streaming stats, and even withdraw your earnings, all from the palm of your hand. And for those looking to perfect their sound, check out Mixia. This powerful tool allows you to put the finishing touches on your tracks in minutes, ensuring they sound polished and professional every time. But that's not all. DistroKid has just launched a brand new feature called Instant Share, allowing you to easily share large files securely with collaborators, producers, and more. With Instant Share, you can keep your music streaming at the highest quality while making the best impression possible. So what are you waiting for? Elevate your music career today with DistroKid and unlock a world of possibilities. Possibilities that I know all about because I've been using DistroKid for years. It's seriously great. If you haven't used it before, you're going to love it. And One Hit Thunder listeners get an exclusive offer, 30% off your first year with DistroKid by signing up at distrokid.com/VIP/OneHitThunder. That's distrokid.com/VIP/OneHitThunder.
K-pop Demon Hunters Haja Boys breakfast meal and Huntrix meal have just dropped at McDonald's. They're calling this a battle for the fans. What do you say to that, Rumi?
It's not a battle. So glad the Saja boys could take breakfast and give our meal the rest of the day.
It is an honor to share.
No, it's our honor.
It is our larger honor.
No, really. Stop.
You can really feel the respect in this battle. Pick a meal to pick a side.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
At participating McDonald's while supplies last.
I'm Bruce Martin, host of Pit Pass Indy. Each week, I go behind the scenes of the NTT IndyCar Series and introduce our listeners to the biggest stars of IndyCar, which features the Indianapolis 500 as its cornerstone event. The men and women that compete in IndyCar may be the bravest athletes in all of sport, as danger lurks around every corner. They are able to look danger in the eye without flinching. That is why the NTT IndyCar Series features the best racing on the planet. Join me every week as we talk to the stars of IndyCar, including the legends of the Indianapolis 500 on Pit Pass Indy from Evergreen Podcast.
Meanwhile, in New Jersey...
So, Marissa, what talking points do you want to hit on in this week's episode?
Well, Jackie, let's talk about how the film addresses the patriarchy. Ooh, and representation of marginalized people. Ooh, and even philosophical ramifications of good versus evil in horror.
We can point out the triangle boobs, talk about the blood splatter, and the practical effects. And also the male gaze.
My gaze at the males.
Hi-oh! From feminism to fangirling, the Jersey Ghouls cover all the bases of horror from a woman's perspective.
New episodes are uploaded every other Sunday.
Just search Jersey Ghouls to find us on social media and your favorite podcasting app.
Alley-oop, the song, like I said, it hit number 1 on July 2nd of 1960. Behind it were a couple of Connie Francis songs at 2 and 3, Everybody's Somebody's Fool and Jealous of You. Pennies from Heaven from the Skyliners was at number 4. And number 5, Matt, was I'm Sorry from Brenda Lee.
Nice.
I'm sorry.
I love Brenda Lee.
Brenda Lee rocks. The Alley-oop comic for which this song was based had been around since December of 1932, and it was created by American cartoonist V.T. Hamlin, who wrote and drew the strip through 4 decades for Newspaper Enterprise Association. Alley-oop, I don't know a lot about the comic, but the main character's name is Alley-oop, who is a sturdy citizen in the prehistoric kingdom of Mu. He rides his pet dinosaur Dinny, carries a stone axe, and wears only a fur loincloth. And I love that there are no bones made about it when you listen to the song and you hear the lyrics. It starts with, "There's a man in the funny papers we all know."
Yeah.
He lives way back a long time ago. Like, there is no doubt this is 100% about the comic strip Alley-oop. It's wild. And how do you feel about the song as a song?
It's fine. So let me preface this. This is a little bit of pulling the curtain away. Also, the same day that we're recording this, I had to do some research for a Christian Cringe episode that we're doing on an album called The Rappin' Rabbit. That was a 80s album of an adult man modulating his voice to sound like a rabbit while he raps songs about Jesus Christ.
Okay.
And I mention that because I think that did put some rose-tinted glasses on my face when I got to Alley-oop.
Okay.
that may not have been there if I hadn't listened to 40 minutes of Rappin' Rabbit immediately before diving into this song, where I said, this is fine, but compare this to his other big novelty production job of Monster Mash. This doesn't hold a candle. The Monster Mash is just a better overall novelty song to me in every way.
I guess there's something fun about the Alley-oop thing in this song.
Yeah. Oh, it's a fun song, but I would, even like I mentioned, he did that Spooky Movies song. I would listen to, I think that this is one of my least favorite things I've heard out of Gary S. Paxton's catalog.
wonder, though, it went to number one, and it's 1960, and we don't have a lot of the... It's way more of a monoculture. Like, the funny papers were probably a huge thing in 1960, I could imagine. Like, 1960, I don't know if everybody even had TVs yet in 1960. I would imagine people started getting them.
Yeah, that was around when they started getting them. I think we talked about this before when we talked about the Archies and even the Monster Squad, the Monster Mash, Alvin and the Chipmunks. I think that there is a huge element of children buying singles at this point.
Right.
Like,
I think that's exactly right. It's kids who buy music. It's kids that are getting this record. I saw it, like, the cover when I was making the ads for this episode in advance, and I saw that the cover of the record, it was 98 cents, you know?
Yeah.
And I mean, which actually seems like kind of expensive.
Steep in 1960, yeah, it does.
Yeah,
for a single, that's pretty pricey actually by 1960 standards.
I don't know if that was maybe a later re-release of it. No, I think that was the original. But that's part of it for sure, is that kids are who buy records. But also, I was just surprised, like, 5 years later, the Beach Boys put out this album with a bunch of covers on it, and this is one of the 10 covers they do on that album. This song made that much of an impression on the Beach Boys.
Yeah. Okay, so by the way, just did a quick search. 98 cents in 1960 is the equivalency of $11 today.
Wow.
That is expensive for a single. Even by today's standards, if someone's selling a single for $11, I'd be like, get the fuck out of here.
They sold 1 million of them. Dude, it's so weird.
Yeah, that's a little strange. I think that you're right. The Beach Boys part is the most confusing part. Because, like, Sha-Na Na covering this makes total sense to me. Ray Stevens covering this makes all the sense in the world to me. The Beach Boys feels like the odd man out in that pile.
I'm pulling up the Beach Boys Party album to tell you what other songs they covered on this album. So, yeah, they do I Should Have Known Better by the Beatles. They do Papa Ooh Mau Mau from the Rivingtons, which I get. That's like fun.
Some novelties. That's some novelty, but that fits with Alley Oop to me.
They did You've Got to Hide Your Love Away by the Beatles. They did Devoted to You by the Everly Brothers. Alley Oop is the first song on side 2. They did a little medley of their own songs, like I Get Around and Little Deuce Coupe. They did The Times They Are A-Changin' from Bob Dylan, and they did Barbara Ann from the Regents, which totally makes sense because it sounds like a Beach Boys song.
Well, this is where I was assuming this when you mentioned this, because you were like, it sounds like a party. And I've always thought that the Beach Boys recording of Barbara Ann sounds loose and like they're like doing it live in one take. So I assumed that was on this album. So that doesn't shock me that was kind of the lead single on this. That makes a lot of sense. Listen, one of the other ones on here, I'm looking at the track list, Hully Gully, which the Hollywood Argyles cover on their album. Like,
I don't know, man.
I think there was just a small finite amount of novelty songs to go around at that point.
What was there just a lack of songs to go around? Like, you'd have the same song being played by 3 or 4 different artists on the charts at the same time. Why was there such a lack of songs? I feel like songs have been around since the dawn of man, like cavemen beating on rocks.
Well, let's look at it through this lens, right? I think the weird part to me is a song is popular and a bunch of people cover it and all those covers chart. But I mean, let's look in modern time. How frequently is a song like the #1 song in America, and within a week you can go on YouTube and find like every pop punk, ska, and metal band in the world has done their own version of it for SEO purposes.
That is one of the best points you've ever made that I didn't think about. That actually is, because in 1960, if you're doing a cover of something and you want people to hear it, you need to try to get it on the radio because you can't go onto YouTube. That's a good point, man. I got to give you credit for that. Great job. I want to give you credit for something else too, Matt. I want to give you credit if you get 10 points on my game today.
All right, let's do it.
Are you shooting for 10 points?
I think I can do that.
It's 7 questions. You know the drill. 2 points if you get it without the multiple choice. 1 point if you get it with. If you try to answer without, you get -1. But Matt, the first question, you will get the multiple choice, and if you get it, you'll get 2 points.
Okay. All right.
So you can't lose points here.
All right.
Alley-Oop by the Hollywood Argyles was the 14th biggest song of 1960, according to Billboard. 3 out of these 4 songs I'm going to name are real songs that were above Alley-Oop on the year-end chart. And one of them is something I completely made up and doesn't exist. Okay. Which one is the fake? A, Greenfields by the Brothers 4. B, Running Bear by Johnny Preston. C, Porridge and Tea by Carol McIntyre. Or D, He'll Have to Go by Jim Reeves.
Well, this is one of the hardest questions I think you've ever asked. I can't lose points on this one, right? Because it's okay. I'm going to say B. B feels like the made up one.
Running Bear by Johnny Preston?
Yes.
Nope, that's a real song. That was one of the top songs of 1960.
Was it A?
Nope. Greenfields by the Brothers 4 was also one of the top songs of 1960.
Then I have no clue because I genuinely had tricked my brain into thinking I had heard of the artists and the songs that you named for C and D.
Dude, the fake song I made up is Porridge and Tea by Carol McIntyre.
Oh my God, I was positive that was a song title that I've seen in my life. Oh, that's so funny.
How do you think Porridge and Tea would go?
Probably terrible. Oh, I thought you meant eating it. Oh, what a bad combo. I don't even know.
Yeah.
That would, let's see, a 1960.
Uh-huh.
Ooh, you might be a little psychedelic. It might get a little weird at that point.
I thought 1960, you're not psychedelic yet. Porridge and Tea, I could have seen it. I said Carol McIntyre, which I guess Carol could be a guy's name like Carol O'Connor, but
yeah.
Let's presume that it is a male name. I could see Porridge and Tea being like a British guy, and it's like Porridge and Tea, like a kind of like in the vein of when I'm 64 from the Beatles. You know, it's kind of a Porridge and Tea.
Yeah. Oh my God! It would have been like that Winchester Cathedral song that we almost picked. It would have been sang through a megaphone and everything.
There you go. Okay. Question 2. A week after Alley-Oop hit #1, what classic Harper Lee novel was published?
I'm going to go with what I think is the only classic Harper Lee novel, which is To Kill a Mockingbird.
You got it. All right, you got 2 points.
Woo!
Isn't that wild? 1960, To Kill a Mockingbird. Like
that's pretty bonkers.
I think of all like classic novels as being from like the 1800s for some reason. Which actress, singer, and comedian, known for her roles in many Christopher Guest mockumentaries, as well as the TV show Glee, was born the same month that Alley-Oop hit its Billboard peak?
Okay. The Glee thing helped a lot. Jane Lynch.
You got it.
Yeah.
4 points. Jane Lynch is so funny.
She is very, very, very funny. And I think that she's at her funniest in those movies when she's able to just like completely let loose, because she always plays someone who is just slightly unhinged. Like she never goes full crazy, but she says things where you can feel the crazy is just like beneath the surface, ready to burst out. I think she has one of my favorite lines in A Mighty Wind. It's either her or her husband when they're talking about the new Main Street singers, and the line is like, there was a lot of abuse in my family, but it was mostly musical in nature.
Okay, you got 4 points and we're on question 4.
Okay.
Which comic strip, which launched in 2002, chronicles the daily lives of 5 anthropomorphic animals: pig, rat, zebra, goat, and guard duck?
One of the few like comic strips that I still will occasionally read if I'm holding a newspaper. Pearls Before Swine, baby. That comic rules.
You got it. I can't remember what it was, but I think Pearls Before Swine was the last funny that I can remember making me laugh out loud when I was reading the
they
funny
had
pages.
some good ones.
Yep, Pearls Before Swine. Good job, man. You got 6 points. You're crushing it now.
I told you, man. For most of the 90s and early 2000s, I was reading the Sunday funnies.
Simpsons creator Matt Groening created what comic strip that was published weekly from 1977 to 2012?
All right. Man. What question is this, real quick?
Question 5.
Question 5. I'm going to go for it. I'm like 99% sure I have the title. I think it's Life in Hell.
You got it.
Okay.
Dude, I can't believe Life in Hell. I thought that ended like in the 90s. I can't believe it's still a thing.
Yeah.
As a kid, I swear to you this is true. I bought like the books. There was Love is Hell, Childhood is Hell, Work is Hell. They had these books at like Walden Books and stuff. And I bought them because they were in like, I always got books in like the humor section or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was that little rabbit. And I bought those as a kid before I saw The Simpsons.
I believe that. Like, so the thing is, like, Matt Groening, it makes sense to me that comic strip is still happening, honestly, because Matt Groening...
It's not.
Oh,
it ended in 2012.
But still, that makes sense to me because, like, Matt Groening, I think, mostly sold off all of The Simpsons... Not sold off The Simpsons rights, but he's, like, has very little, if anything, to do with the show and hasn't since like the 9th season. And that's like right when he started doing Futurama. Like, I think The Simpsons became so massive that he just does whatever his artistic heart desires because he knows that The Simpsons is just going to fund any weird project that he desires to do. Right. So if he had a passion of doing that comic strip, why the fuck not just keep doing it? Because you don't have to worry about it being popular anymore. The Simpsons has got your back on the financial side.
Yeah, I don't think he has to worry about it. Plus, he could make those comics in probably like 5 minutes. They're like the easiest, most basic drawings of these rabbits.
He said that too. He's like, I'm the worst artist that's worked on The Simpsons.
Yeah, but you see The Simpsons in those rabbits. Like you see the style in those rabbits. Okay, you got 8 points after 5 questions, Matt. You're crushing it.
This is the best I've ever done at any of our trivia games.
You got a shot at getting both these questions, too.
All right.
Jack Black and Michael Cera star in what 2009 Harold Ramis directed movie about 2 Stone Age tribesmen who traveled to the Bronze Age city of Sodom?
One of the most disappointing comedies of all time, year one.
You got it.
How so many talented minds could come together for such a long, unfunny movie, I will never understand.
Okay. You got 10 points with 1 question to go. You're crushing it. The Beach Boys' 1965 album, Beach Boys Party, consists mostly of cover songs played with acoustic instruments, and it includes their cover of Alley Oop. The one single from the album, which reached number 2 in the U.S., was their cover of Barbara Ann, which was originally recorded in 1961 by what New York doo-wop vocal group?
Okay. I've already hit my 10 points, right?
Yep.
I did see this when I was researching it, and I've forgotten their name, so I'm going to go multiple choice to see if it triggers in me what that band name was that I saw.
A, the Regents, B, the Platters, C, the Penguins, or D, the Flamingos?
It's the first one, A.
You got it. 11 points, Matt.
Because it was a band I'd never heard of. I know those other bands.
Yep. The only thing you missed was Porridge and Tea by Carol McIntyre. Not actually a song. But, Matt, we've come to the point in the show where we got to talk about Thunder, Blunder, Hinder, or Greenwood. I feel like maybe, I know this episode is going to come out like much after this is still a thing people are talking about, but I think that we could probably put something below Greenwood, which would be Bryce, that guy that said, dude, that song, that Kiss My Fish song is worse than Proud to Be an American, I think.
It might be. It literally might be.
But
I saw your post about how it made Christmas shoes sound like Bohemian Rhapsody the other day.
All right, so Thunder or Blunder on Alley Oop?
I don't think it's a Hinder or a Greenwood situation.
Yeah.
But it's also definitely not a Thunder situation.
No.
I think this is a bit of a blunder, especially diving into more stuff from Gary Paxton and being like, man, this dude actually kicks a ton of ass, but the Hollywood Argyles does not represent the ass kicking that is capable in his songwriting. So I'm going to say the song's barely that good, and you definitely don't need to dig deeper into the rest of the catalog of Alley Oop. This one's a bit of a blunder.
Yeah, I mean, Gary S. Paxton's story is so good that I wanted to give it Thunder. And if the song Alley Oop was a better song, I would have maybe justified that. But yes, you're right. You do not need to listen to anything else under the Hollywood Argyles name. You barely have to listen to Alley Oop other than to prepare yourself for this episode. So I think it's a certified blunder to everyone involved, from Dallas Frazier to Gary S. Paxton. The Hollywood Argyles are safely a blunder.
This has been One Hit Thunder. One Hit Thunder is hosted by Chris Afalios of the band Punchline and produced by Matt Kelly of Geekscape.net. Underneath me, you're hearing No Significant Other off the Punchline album, Delightfully Pleased. Visit punchlinemusic.com for any upcoming news on the band. Our podcast is on Patreon, so find us at patreon.com/OHT podcast for early access to episodes, bonus conversations, and a chance to vote on future songs for us to cover. Make sure to rate, review, and subscribe to us on your favorite podcasting app, and tune in next week for more One Hit Thunder.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.